Hello, hello. Zaide here with another episode of DramaQuest. Today we are bringing you the special guest, Nizzarr, who was the guild leader of Nihilum on Red 99, the Project 1999 PvP server. So with that said, I'm going to toss it over to Niz to introduce himself.
Hi, Zaid. Thank you for having me on your podcast. Started playing AQ. I was 16 years old in 1999. I joined the Nameless server. I was playing in the Legacy of Steel.
Niz, I was also on the Nameless server.
You were?
Yeah.
Really? Which guild were you in? That's funny.
Gosh. I was a newbie. I was like total trash. I was 9 years old, and I was in some guild that only allowed good players. It was like an RP guild with some kind of legion, 7th Legion or something like that, 7th Council.
Yeah, 7th Council.
Then I joined a guild called Light and Darkness or something, and that was pretty much all I did back in those days. But I did talk shit to Tiggle enough to make it on the website once or twice.
That's pretty funny, actually.
Yeah, that was my highlight. I told this story last time. I was grinding in some like mid-level dungeon when Pop came out, and some guy in Legacy of Steel hit 65 server first, and it was a ranger, and I sent him a tell, and I was like, "Hey, are you the first 65?" He's like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Do you have a life?" And he was like, "I'm gonna think about you when I'm fucking my girlfriend later."
Oh wow, that's rad. I was in Legacy of Steel for about I'd say a year. I joined in Classic. It was really hard. I was in high school then, so I was not doing well in school, but I was doing well in Everquest, you know?
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Yeah, we were raiding every night then. It was a lot of fun. I got to play Tigol quite a bit too. He was letting me play his account once in a while.
Well, that's really cool. So you were there for a year, so you probably did like Classic and Kunark. Were you there for Velius or no?
Yeah, I started Velius, and then Velius got released, I think, in December of 2000, I think. And then I played 3 or 4 months, and then that's when they announced Sullon Zek. And then I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm done with PvE. I'm moving to Sullon Zek. And I brought a bunch of people from Legacy of Steel over to Sullon Zek. We had a really good guild there named Rund. We took over the server like really bad for 6-7 months. Then we pretty much got bored. Sullon Zek was it was a cesspool.
Yeah,
it was it was my first time I was getting killed by people using MacroQuest. Was on Sullon Zek. It was not really fun.
Way back then, man. So Sullon Zek, just to remind everyone, that was the PvP server that was based on like newts, goods, and bads, right?
Oh yeah.
And was it also the one that was like, hey, there's no rules?
There is no rules. You could train. You could do anything you wanted. The only rule there was a rule actually. It was about talking trash. You couldn't like use you couldn't say like bad things in OOC.
Right.
Stuff. That's the only rules there was.
Okay, cool. And that was the same server that had Fancy, the famous bard, on it.
Yeah, actually, if you look at Fancy screenshots, you can see I'm talking there in the screenshots.
Oh man, nice. Go good team. I assume you were an evil team guy, right?
Yeah, we were evil.
Yeah. I heard that evil pretty much dominated that server.
Oh yeah, no, it was not even funny. It was not even close. We had maybe 50, 60 people, and we were level 60, and then I think the closest neutral was like level 40.
Wow.
So yeah, it was actually really hard for them to level up because we were taking all the good zones, and we had like people level 60 and then just camping like Miss More and just like shutting down zones.
Right, blocking the leveling path.
Oh yeah, no, it was ruthless. That's for sure.
Now, was any of the leveling not the leveling, was any of the rating challenging because you guys specifically didn't have any paladins or druids, right? There's no pally or druid classes on the evil team.
That's right. We had none of that. So actually, it wasn't all that bad.
Okay.
It's the same for the good. The good's like I think the goods were the worse off. They didn't have ogres, they didn't have like shadow knights, good necros, all the good PvP classes really.
Right.
And
I mean, if you look at back in the day, it just seemed like the evil races were so much better.
oh yeah,
They leveled a little slower, but they made up for it. Frontal stun immunity. Ogres have like 60 more stat points than any other race. And the leveling spots around them are just awesome, right? Like Guck, Lava Storm, Soleil. The whole Freeport area is just really great, as opposed to like starting over in like Tox or Kanos or you know Fadeware.
yeah. So what happened actually on Sullon Zek was the neutral had control of Velius. Pretty much, the evil couldn't go in Velius much because
Ah,
you'd get camp or like that. They took over at the start, but it didn't matter to us. We just went like we took everything else. The goods had very little zones. They have like Alice and Everfrost. That was the good zone. That's it.
right. It's like terrible
G
to sit
Fay,
there
yeah,
and
G
grind
Fay
there.
too. Yeah, all that stuff. Anyway,
Okay, so how long did you stay on Sullon Zek?
we stayed for about 7 months. Uh,
Okay.
there was a guild fallout or something, and there was another evil guild, and then they were starting to use MacroQuest to train us
Hmm.
because they couldn't fight us in PvP, but they could train us. So we were trying to do the values like TOV and stuff like that. We're just constantly getting trained, constantly. We're just like, at that point, we're like, okay, if our own team is fucking with us, there's no point in playing this anymore. So we just called it a day.
Gotcha. Yeah, I see that. And I know some of the viewers have asked me after a recent podcast, like when we're talking about MacroQuest, they have abilities like Warp, which let a player just pick a spot in a zone or a mob or a person in the zone and instantly appear at that spot. Or they can they could like type zone Kanos, and no matter where they are, they will just zone in a series of zones to instantly get over to Kanos as fast as they can load through the zone lines. Or they could do what's called like a far taunt. They could target a mob on the other end of the zone and taunt it, and it would come running towards them. So it
Yep.
gives you a total leg up, a whole suite of abilities that normal players don't have, and it usually comes with like a magical map. That you can see all the monsters and stuff on. I think back then, because there was no maps, it probably didn't. But I'm sure if you were using MacroQuest, you were probably using Show EQ, which existed back then. So you saw where everything was all the time, which is a huge advantage in PvP.
Yeah, I believe almost every raiding guild on that server had a couple people running MacroQuest. It was all over the place. Well, really, not really all over the place, but you kind of knew at some point that something was off.
Right.
Even in
And
my
the problem
guild.
is like it just has such an outsized effect on you on that server, on PvP servers, right? As compared to like on a
Oh
PvE
yeah,
server, it's almost like who cares?
yeah. But at the same time, back then in 2001, like not many people knew about MacroQuest altogether.
Yeah, I had never heard of it. Geez, I didn't hear about it until like 2011.
Yeah.
So after you guys were done there, did you go to another server or did you get back to real life for a while?
I got back to real life. I was given like Warcraft 3 beta keys from Legacy of Steel because Legacy of Steel was mostly Blizzard employees back then. So I got all kinds of goodies from them.
Nice.
And then I was playing Warcraft 3 and I stopped playing EverQuest for about a couple years.
Okay. So how did you end up on Project 1999? Where'd you hear about it?
I was pretty bored. Somebody told me there was a new classic server coming out. So I was like, okay, I'll check it out. And then yeah, I actually checked it out pretty good. I started a dwarf cleric about a month into the server,
And that was
maybe
on
3 weeks.
Blue?
Yeah, I was on the blue server,
Okay.
and I leveled up. I joined Angler's Bastards,
Nice.
and then I didn't like. There was a lot of stuff bad with the blue server, and IB had a lot of. They had like maybe 3 GMs. That was part of the guild.
Xerion or whatever, right? Was
Yeah,
one
they
of the
had
devs.
Xerion, and then I think there was other people that was part of the project too, and it was just not feeling right. So I quit IB after like maybe a couple of weeks, and then I joined another guild, and then within a week I was an officer in the guild and started like, taking over. And yeah, I think the name was Dark Ascension, and then
Yes. Yep. Dark
um,
Ascension went head to head with IB for a while until they merged, right? At some point.
I'm not
To
sure if they merged, but I don't think so. I think Dark Ascension had a bunch of drama going on, and then I think they folded at some point. But yeah, that was when we there was a poop suck going on, and the variants and everything, and that was really bad on the blue server.
right. Yeah, because variance in the respawn timers of the dragons is not actually classic, right?
Right. So what will happen is that this third Nagafen, there was about 150 people there from two guilds, and it was a shit show. And then uh, within a week, they asked like, "Oh, can you guys come up with solutions to?" Because it spawns at 7:30, and then everybody was there at 7:30, just DPS racing. And it was an awful. The shit talk going on was bad, and it was just I don't know. It was not fun at all. So they asked for a solution, and then they implemented variants, and the poop sucking started then too, which was I think even worse than before. Uh,
Hmm.
so
And
yeah, I
and
don't
then you
know.
got to do like the track the huge windows and everything.
Yeah, but at some point, there was like a rogue GM. He was like giving me the timers for the mobs. So, and then it was just like he says it was leveling up the playing field because apparently the other guild had access to the timers as well. And
Of course.
it was at the start of P99, everything was a shit show.
Yeah. I think it was like, so you had IB, right? And then was Dark Ascension a guild that kind of came out of Fishbait?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And that was the guild that was run by Salty, or TN as people know him from FOH.
No, I think it was run by a guy named Durison,
Okay.
and I think we did get the people from Fishbait at some point. Some of them were just too toxic. We just didn't take them,
Yeah.
but we took a couple. We didn't take no, was it Salty Tien or something? The guy
Yeah,
from
Salty
FOH?
TN. For some reason, I'm associating him with Fishbait.
No, I think it wasn't Fishbait. Yeah, but he never joined my guild.
Gotcha. Yeah, that guy's just real loud.
Yeah, he's he's something else.
And then after you guys folded, did it become like Ascension and Fusion? It's like a spider web of guilds on Blue.
um, I couldn't tell you at that point.
Hmm. I just know eventually somehow it all came into Transatlantic Rampage, like a
Oh
year or
yeah,
two
yeah,
later.
yeah. So that was after my time on Blue,
Hmm.
because I was in Dark Ascension. Then they released the Red server, and that's when I switched over right away.
Okay. So you were on Blue, you were doing big things there, and then you heard about Red. As soon as you heard about it, did you know that was where you were going to go?
Oh yeah, I had no doubts. Back then, I was going back to school in 2011, I think,
Hmm.
and then I had no time to like lead a guild or do anything like that. So I was like, okay, it's time to leave the Blue server and then go solo on the Red server, have some fun, and that's what I did.
Yeah, and Red came out like late 2011, or was it early 2012?
I'm couldn't be exactly. I think it's 2011.
Yeah, somewhere in there. Okay. So um, Red launched. Was it a huge launch? Was there like a ton of people on the server
Oh
day
yeah,
one?
the launch was crazy. Actually, there was a lot of people. It was over, I think, 1,500 people on Red at some
It's
point
pretty
at the
big.
start.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty big for a emulated server.
Oh, yeah.
And then obviously it dwindled down because it was pretty brutal at the start. Uh, there was all these box, I don't know what you call it, the PvP emulated server people. We were just a bunch of griefers, really.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, I made a druid on that server at the start. My druid was named Terrorist or something, and then I went there by myself. I had no plans, no guild. I kept just leveling by myself, killing a few people here and there, and then obviously at some point I just realized, oh, I'm like one of the top level in the server, and I was like, okay. And then I leveled in Blackborough at the start, and as soon as I hit 14, there was a bug with the mage swords with pets. It will proc the dismiss summoned on anything and everything.
Yep, super busted.
Yeah, so I started charming and begging mages for these swords, and then at that point, I was leveling extremely fast, and I went to South Carolina until like level 29, and then I charmed a griffin in North Carolina, killed the guards there until 35. Then I need East Carolina, killed the guards there with a griffin as well. And then in South Carolina, that's where I met Lovely. Uh, he was very loud on the forums. I had no idea who he was.
Right, yeah.
He was really funny too. Anyway, and then I met him. So Holocaust was killing the PH for Quillmane, I think. You know, the elephant calves by
Yeah.
the over there. Anyway,
Yeah.
and then I was getting a lot of Quillmanes, and then I had a spare cloak, so I was like, oh, I'm just gonna message Lovely and see if he wants it, you know. So that's how we met. He thought I was with Holocaust the whole time. He says, and then he was like, no, I'm not. And then we became friends. And at that point, uh, he's a very I don't know how to explain, but like perfect play kind of guy.
Yeah.
Everything was timed perfectly, and then we were camping mana stones and then killing people, and then we had the timers for the mana stone. We'd like gate back there, kill a mana stones guy, and then just go everywhere and fuck with people. And yeah, so that's where I met Lovely.
And now, for the people who don't already know this, Lovely on P99 Red is a well-known WoW player called Kungan that most people know him as.
Yeah. So at that point, we still didn't have a guild. I didn't have a guild. Lovely had a guild, but it was like just him and like two of his friends.
Yeah.
Um,
Was it Nihilum at the time, or was it not yet that guild?
Not yet. It was just a random guild placeholder
Okay.
or whatever.
Can you tell us really quick a little bit about Holocaust, the guild?
Oh, sure. I mean, so Holocaust is a bunch of people that was playing. They were playing the PvP emulated servers. A lot of people from Zek and Sullon Zek and Zek mostly.
So they came in pretty organized.
They were very organized.
And were they led by caste?
I believe they were,
Okay.
or maybe they had a bunch of leaders or officers, but yeah, they were very loud on forums. They were griefing people nonstop on the server.
I
Everybody hated
remember
them.
I remember them talking a lot of shit on the forums before launch, everyone calling him Coach Cast, and he was saying he was going to be the first person to 50, and he was playing a bard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll let you go on with the story, but I can't wait to circle back to see how his race to 50 went.
It didn't go too well. I mean, we started looking for him everywhere, and he gave up leveling after a while because we were all over him. He couldn't level up where he wanted to level, and me and Lovely were just hunting him down. We were the only people in his level range, so
Okay.
nobody else could help him. And then, yeah, we at some point he fell asleep in Ogok. He was killing guards there, and then we trained stuff on him for like a couple levels. So he didn't win the race.
So he lost a few levels because of that, right? Falling asleep there.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Now, was there a limit? What was the PvP range?
I believe at the start it was 6 or maybe 8.
Okay,
Uh,
and it was only coin loot, right?
yep, only coin loot. And I think he had yellow text as well. I'm not sure if the yellow text was at the start, but uh, maybe it was later.
I think they added it once the population died
Yeah,
down
I
a little
think
bit.
so. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So, were you the second level 50 on the server?
I believe I was. Yes, Lovely was the first one. So what happened is we went to Soul B, and then we used those busted mage words, and I was charming bats.
Yep.
And then I had a group there. We found a cleric that was like level 34, and a warrior that was 34 as well. And we
It's
just,
just like the bare minimum to get in there.
yeah, just to get like some kind of tank and healing. And then I was just clearing the whole place with my bats.
Wow.
And then we got 50 this way. And then after that, anytime somebody hit 33 that was not an Holocaust, I'd get them to Soul B and power level them to 50.
So at that point, you guys had decided like Holocaust was the rivalry, right?
Oh, everybody on the server hated them. It was a very easy process for me to uh, just making friends and helping people out, everybody else on the server. So I power leveled maybe I'd say 30 people to 50
Nice.
there, and then at that point we started the guild too. Nihilum was when we started camping like Ifriti and stuff. We made the guild, and then yeah, Lovely was the first leader. Uh, and then we were just following people because that's the only we were going to compete with Holocaust, because Holocaust was coming up and they had a lot of people too. They had maybe 40, 50 people.
Right. So they were behind you, but when they got to 50, it was going to be a big problem, right?
Exactly. So the only way the only way I figured it out was use my druid to power level people. And then at that point, we did that for 2 weeks. And then that's when we killed Nagafen as well. The first Nagafen kill, which was very, I guess, a little bit special. But
Yeah. Can you tell us about the exploit for Nagafin?
oh yeah, so we were doing fire giants, and then we accidentally pulled Nagafen. We pulled him to the Tranix room, and then we saw that something was off. We were not getting hit by AOE's, and then we figured out that the geometry was stopping his line of sight, and then he was just not AOing at all at some places in Soul B.
Right. If he can't have an unobstructed LOS on his whoever is tanking him, he won't use any AOE's at all, right? He'll just do melee through the
Yeah,
wall.
so we've just had to figure out exactly where it was, because we pulled him and my bat was on him, and then my bat was like keeping up with him. We're just healing the bat, and our one group got it down to like 95% or something, and then we were like, okay, we just need a few clerics and a tank and a couple more bats, and we're good to go, right?
Right.
And
I mean, shit, where were the enchanters at, right? Why wasn't there an enchanter there at that point?
uh,
Was just not good at PvP early on?
there was not many enchanters.
Okay.
I think they had to change the magic resist where it was hard landing magic spells on people. So
I
enchanters
see.
were just not really good.
Yeah, just real vulnerable and not a lot of offense.
I mean, they're really good in PvP. I mean, Pillage enchantment is amazing. Tashnia,
Right.
all that stuff. But yeah, there was not that many enchanters on
Okay.
the Red 99.
Because it would have been real nice to like lure a fire giant, right? Or even just have like a LDC.
Yeah, yeah, we had none of that. It was only we had like 2 or 3 druids and we had bats.
So when you're leveling up as that first druid in there, and it's just you, what is how much are you kind of like riding the lightning, charming a bat? Because like you don't have a stun or anything. If the bat breaks, all you have is like you have
Oh,
to root it real quick, and he can stun you. And
so you get a 15-minute snare at level 29.
okay, so you just
So
keep
I
them snared all the time.
keep it snared, and then you go out of range, and then just charm it again.
Nice. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
My friend Urim is always bragging about how good druids are in those early eras and how people sleep on them so much, and no one ever believes him. But he would love hearing this about how you were, in the top area, just charming with your druid the whole time.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was those bats were nasty in PvP too. They
Oh
were
yeah, the stun
they were
lock people
scary.
and
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Nobody wanted to come. Like anybody in Soulby, like, they get shit on all the time.
right. Now, could someone just like chain dispel your pet to break charm, or is that not a thing?
Yeah, it was a thing.
Hmm.
But the problem was like getting line of sight on it, and then not getting interrupted at all while you cast it.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
so that was, I'm guessing it happened a few times, but literally I hit 50 and then I started part leveling everybody else. And then Holocaust was still struggling with leveling a little bit because they were a bit slower than all the groups I power leveled.
Right.
You
So
know.
now, you do the Nagfin. It probably caught everybody by surprise, right?
Yeah. I was I was throwing some propaganda over there in the forums for sure, trying to make sure we don't get suspended because obviously it was kind of an exploit doing this. And then,
Yeah.
but the GMs were oblivious to the whole thing. They didn't figure it out until months and months later, and we didn't get punished for it at all. So, but we did that with Vox too, and then yeah, at that point we didn't have Fear or Eight. They got released like a couple of months after.
Right.
So
So at that time, it's just Finny and the two dragons.
right.
Now, Vox is even easier because she won't cast any spells at all. If she doesn't have line of sight, she probably wouldn't even CH. Yeah.
I think she was Ealing, but we were like we had some enchanters to seive her, which was
Nice.
the way to do it on P99 was sieving her down, and then she'll never cast.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
Could you interrupt her with mob push and stuff like that?
yeah. So we didn't have bats in there, so we had the polar bears. We used all the polar bears to push her.
Okay. Cool. And did you get the first Lady Vox like the day after the first Nagafin?
Maybe a day or two after. Yeah.
How did Holocaust react?
Oh, they were pissed. Oh, they were. It was the forums at that point were popping. It was crazy.
I remember, the early claims that there was exploits happening and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Now, how long was it before Holocaust started contesting you guys on these dragons?
Um, they tried Nagafen maybe 2 or 3 weeks after that.
Okay. I vaguely remember reading about Holocaust like doing the cheese on Lady Vox and then getting like disbanded. Is that what happened?
I don't. So something like that happened. Yeah. So they tried what we were doing, but the GMs were there watching them, and I don't think there was a lot of love loss with the GMs and Holocaust because they were very toxic people. Um,
They probably just
so
even hated having a guild named Holocaust on the server. You know what I mean? Like everything about
yeah,
it is like,
so yeah, they were there. They started exploiting it, and then they got suspended, and that was a big thing back then. I remember that too now. But we just, what can you do? It
right.
was it was a funny moment for sure on that server.
So was that pretty much when Holocaust stopped contesting you guys?
Yeah, I think so. I think after that they were kind of like disgusted with the server, and then uh, they kind of disbanded or something. And then we had because our guild at that point was getting massive because there was only like Holocaust and my guild, and the choice was easy for most people. They were like, "Oh, you guys are not Holocaust, so we'll just join you guys."
Right. Like you're not acting like buffoons on the forums and you're
Right.
actually getting kills. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it was easy for us with getting the kills on the dragons, having Lovely. Lovely was great at getting people in the guild. Yeah, and then we had quite the Zerg at that point, so the Holocaust kind of folded at that point too.
was Supreme in your guild or was he in Holocaust?
Oh, he was in my guild.
Yeah. Okay. Was he an officer with you guys?
I think it was just a member.
Okay. Who were the other officers besides you and Lovely?
At some point, we had a guy named Rally D, um, and that's pretty much it. I was not fond of letting other people be in an officer position when I was playing Everquest.
Okay. So you guys
I
had a
was
pretty
big.
tight leadership team there.
Yeah, it usually was only me taking care of everything. I was there like all the time anyway. I was like 20 hours a day. So,
So you were like full time playing EQ at this time?
oh yeah, I was there. Like, I was in school too, but I had like 3 hours, like I had one credit in college. And then, yeah. So I just go there and come back and play for 18 hours and go back again. Yeah.
So who rose up to challenge you after Holocaust died?
Um, I guess there's a guy named Light. I started the guild, and most of the Holocaust people came back when they saw there was a competitor. So as soon as he made the guild and started PvPing us, uh, his guild started growing a lot. From I think people from Blue to I'm not sure how exactly where everybody came, but he came with a fairly big group of people, and suddenly we had some competition. But it only started in Kunark, really. Classic,
Okay,
we just took over. Like,
just dominated. What? So when the planes came out, no competition there. No competition in
well,
Plane of Sky.
actually, I think Holocaust was still there for the planes.
Okay.
We had some fights in the plane of fear for sure. Some flights in plane of eight as well at the Porden. I remember that. Yeah, some big fights in fear for sure.
Fear has to be like one of the best places to just like take it to the Thunderdome.
Oh yeah, it is something else there. Um, it was a lot there. I mean, at some point, if you fight for a couple hours, everything starts respawning. It becomes a trains fest,
Yeah.
and then I think that's all the fights ended always almost. We were dishing it out for hours.
Would everyone just be bound like right outside or bound in Ogok if you're a melee?
Yeah, well, there were blockades, at the right at the Spectre gates, and then the Druid Ring was camped, and then it was I don't know explain, but it was yeah, it was something.
And CT was probably like super priced, right? Because AON a big deal for you guys. Removes the nameplate on P99, right?
Oh yeah, obviously everybody wanted the AONs, but they were fairly rare on Red 99 for a while. I think the
Hmm.
first few kills we didn't get them, so
When you got one, would you like if you knew there was going to be organized PvP in a zone, would you like pass it around and let everyone get a click?
yeah, we did that for a while. Uh, Especially like we have people outside watching, and then they're gathering at the portal, and then we're like, okay, we're gonna just sit at the zone in all with all AONs, and I think that happened like once or twice.
Nice.
And then it kind of died down because I don't know. It's a process to get everybody AON.
Right. And by the time like the last guy gets the click, it's like halfway gone on the first guy.
Yeah, something like that.
Such a pain. Okay. So at what point did Lovely pass you the guild leadership, and why did Lovely kind of retire?
All right, so I think that's where we had a little bit of a struggle, me and him. I think he wanted to lead one way, and he wasn't pleased with how we killed the first dragons. He wasn't like uh, agreeing that we were going to exploit the dragons like that. So at some point, I think after 2 or 3 weeks, he just quit.
Oh, okay.
So he stayed there for maybe 2 or 3 months on Red 99, then he quit.
So did you guys keep doing the cheese to kill the dragons for a while? Like when did you start killing them like
They so
standard tank
after
style?
so after Holocaust got banned, they fixed the dragons, so they didn't need line of sight to cast their spells.
Hmm.
So after that, we had to kill it like normally.
Okay. Interesting. You know that exploit still exists on retail today. And it's not fixed. So it's funny.
Really?
Yeah, P99 fixed it first.
Yeah. Well, they had to because they don't have a mitigation of a mighty on P99, so
Yeah.
dies too quickly there, so they needed it.
Yeah. Now, were clickies a big deal? Because clickies were rechargeable, right? Was that a big part of the meta?
I think they removed that for a while. I don't think you could do it on Red 99.
Oh, that's awesome. So you didn't have people like spamming soul fires or golem metal wands every time you got into an encounter.
I think people actually they did for a while, and then they did an update on Blue at some point, and then because it was beginning to be a problem on Blue, and then they pushed that to Red as well, and then but yeah, the golem ones were rechargeable for a little bit on Red, and that was annoying as hell.
Right. You just may as well not have any buffs on you.
Right, it was just like you couldn't keep anything. It was just like everybody's spamming that, and it was just like a big gun one fights for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, that would get really dumb. Just like all you can have is J boots, basically.
Yeah, he had no, yeah, he had nothing because
Um,
there was no cast time on this thing, and you're just like click, 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 and everything's gone.
yeah. So it was pretty early that you became the leader. Did he pass you guild leadership, or were you stuck in like
Yeah,
officer
yeah.
role?
So we had a disagreement. I mean, I felt like we're doing good, and then he didn't want to do what we're doing anymore. So he gave me the leader, and then at that point, I was getting invested into the server, and I was just like, all right, I'll just take over and keep
Hmm.
going.
And do you know what the guild was that Light led?
Yeah, it was the guild name was Azrael.
Oh yeah, as yep, I remember that now.
Azrael, and then they did pretty good. I mean, they won a couple PvP fights with us. I mean, it was pretty. We had big fights, like 150 people going at it. So
That's awesome though, right? That's what
oh yeah, no,
that's what you want.
that's what we wanted, yeah, and everybody was happy about that. And then I'm glad it happened that way. We were winning most of them because obviously we had a big gear gap, but they had really good players, and most of my guild was like mostly they were not really PvPers, or mostly like PvEers, and they were not the most skilled people. But
So you
and
guys were the bluebies with the gear.
yeah, we were all the bluebies with the gear, and then they were the PvPers with a bit less gear.
Yeah. Um, was the guild dentists around, like with Ready Walk and those guys? Were they around at this time?
Yeah, uh, they were raiding with Azrael, but they had their own little thing. But when there was PvP, it was at that point it was Nihilum against the server. So there was Dentist, Red Down, Azrael, and all those people were against us.
Okay, so you kind of felt like you were walking around with a target on you all the time.
Yeah, but we had the numbers on everybody. So every fight started in our favor because we had like maybe 10, 15, 20 people on them.
Okay, wow. So you didn't walk around feeling like you were going to get like jumped every time you
No,
went to a zone.
no. I mean, there was a lot of PvP on the server, but for PvE targets, especially when they had like they did like simulated patch days where randomly like everything will repop. That's when we had the most PvP because that's when they could like actually get something.
Right.
Because we go somewhere, but we're most of the time we're just hunting them, so they quit and then we kill everything.
What was the community like going from PvP back in the day to PvP on P99? Was it way different?
Um, I think that Everquest PvP attracts a lot of toxic people.
Hmm.
Sullon Zek was very toxic. Red 99 was fairly toxic too. I think people like it though. There's like some kind of camaraderie going on. Even like if you don't like the guy, but he's still you're still fighting him, and I don't know how to explain that, but there was like a loot and scoot rules, and you had to respect that on Red 99. So
Was that GM enforced loot and scoot?
yeah, I mean they were
I
not always
remember.
there, but you had to just let them get their corpses.
Yeah. So I remember I played on Zek back in the day, and when I wanted to dabble in PvP, that is, and corpse camping was a big thing back then. Like every time I lost PvP, it felt like my corpse was camped. Like I may as well just log off and come back later. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that happened on Solon as well. We had the guy, so we were giant faction during Velius there, and then we had a guy die in what's the name of Sky Shrine,
Yeah.
and all the neutral were on Dragon faction, and then
Mm.
it took us 14 days to get his corpse back. It was
Wow. How long did it have before it decayed?
uh, I think at some point like he looted some of it or something, and then
Okay, so
but they
he
were
just kept getting
camping
some and
art.
then
They were
dying.
camping art. It was 24/7. It was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it was wild back then. So Red 99, you think was a little bit more tame and nice than Sullon Zek was?
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about it. Sullon Zek was a no. It's hard to describe how bad Sullon Zek was.
That honestly, it's crazy because you hear like the craziest things about Red 99, and the forums make it look like it was such a cesspool.
Yeah, but it kind of was. I mean, there was a lot of trash talk on the forums, but I think that's just part of Everquest PvP. You need that
Yeah,
to fuel the whole thing.
yeah, that is the best part of it, right? The stuff on the forums.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's I call it forum PvP. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
forum quest, baby. All right, so you guys are there. Kunark is finally coming out, and are you guys stacked in Sky gear? Like, do you have a bunch of Sky bows on your Rangers and stuff at this
Oh
point,
yeah.
or is Sky still tough?
No, so you could on P99 you could use this Z-axis to pull pretty much everything to like Allen 2. So we were doing that with like eye of zooms and we're just farming the shit out of Sky.
Did you kill the big B?
Yeah, we killed everything.
Nice. Okay, that's awesome. Now you played on Agnar too, right? How much more challenging was raid content on Agnar versus on Red 99?
Um, I don't think the red content was much challenging on Agnar. I mean, I played until Kunark, so everything was fairly easy. Actually, tracking them was pretty hard on Agnar. That's pretty much the only one that give us trouble there.
Yeah, he spikes really high with
Yeah,
the procs and everything.
yeah, and I think we wiped a few times because our tanks couldn't hold aggro. But I mean, yeah, PvE on Red 99 was fairly easy. So
So you think they're kind of like parity?
yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's kind of like what MOTM was supposed to do, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, Agnar was something else. It was very casual for us, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I could tell because like you guys, you never really went for open world stuff on Agnar, right?
Well, we at the start we tried. We tried to contest. I think it was your guild.
Yeah, it was. Yes, it was.
I think we tried to contest a few like CTs or something, and then we were just disgusted. You guys had like fucking 40 necromancers. I was just like, oh my god, what's going on here? It's
Yeah,
just like,
we were at home in the TLP scene.
yeah. So that we were caught off guard. We're not ready for like that kind of like. Uh, I don't think we had that many people. We had like maybe 40, and you guys were fielding like hundreds. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, I remember. I think you guys caught us on a Talendor one time in Kunark.
I
I
think
wasn't there for it, but I remember my officers being like coming to me and being real contrite and being like, "We lost a Talendor to True Sedation," and I was like, "How did that happen?"
we took a couple of these outdoor dragons, like maybe a early morning Severulus, and then maybe one or two Talendors from you guys. I think
Yeah.
we sniped a couple Dracolich. That's for sure. I'm sure we did that.
Oh yeah, definitely Draco. And I know for a fact you guys got one far dark kill in open world because Etheria sent me a DM
Oh
in
yeah.
in Discord.
Oh yeah. No, I remember that. That was actually that was very. We worked hard for that. So
It was very sneaky. He sent me a DM when Fardar was at like 50% with a screenshot of it, and I was like, "You motherfuckers!"
yeah.
We didn't, the VP timers were like different, and no one ever contested us in VP at that point, so we weren't doing a really good job of tracking it. But yeah, I was actually kind of happy that you guys got it because I got to like get on my officers a little bit and be like, "Come on, we need to like tighten up."
Yeah, I remember that. I think it was our best moment on Agnar was stealing PD from you guys.
Yeah, that was good. I don't want to get too much into Agnar because I'm going to do an episode on that soon. But yeah,
Sure.
it seemed like a missed opportunity to not reminisce a little bit with you there. It was
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. Yeah, no, we had a lot of fun on Agnar. Actually,
Now,
I met my wife on Agnar.
what? No way.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many marriages were from Agnar, but I met her brother. He joined my guild because he got kicked out of his guild for training. And I was like, well, you're right at home here. And then he says, oh, I have my sister and my brother playing. I'm like, okay, well, we'll get them too. And then started talking with his sister, and now she's my wife. So
Who was it that got kicked out for training?
My God, I don't remember his name on.
Oh my god, you married his sister and you can't even remember his name.
Well, I know his real name, but I think it was like Jitsu or something like that, or
Okay.
he was like a monk.
Yeah,
I don't
TLP
remember.
servers have like 10,000 monks on them. I don't know. Was the class composition way different between like P99 and TLP?
Um, I mean,
Or did they also have like 100 million monks?
Red 99, you add what you add, right? You just if you had five rangers, you had five rangers. You know, you couldn't do much about it. People will not reroll for PVE. It was all PvP based classes.
Yeah.
So you had a lot of bards, a couple enchanters, a lot of monks, a lot of wizards, and a lot of mages and necromancers. Not like there was barely any rogues. Nobody was playing rogues.
Really?
Yeah, there was a couple, but they were nasty in PvP, but they were just like they're kind of weak to
Yeah.
casters.
Now, was it hard to get warriors on red?
No, warriors were pretty good
Hmm. And
because
what about pallies?
pallies, there was not that many pallies. I think both guilds had maybe one or two.
Yeah. That's the way to do it. Get all your gear for free.
Yeah, so yeah, warriors were good because jousting was a big thing, right? So
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
jousting
just
with
get a
two
fat
enders.
two-hander.
Oh yeah, everybody had two enders.
Okay, so Kunark comes out. How does the Kunark launch go for you guys?
It went very well. I believe we leveled pretty fast, and then we within a week, I think we were killing content
It's pretty good. So you guys didn't do any raid content before 60 though, right?
on Kunark. Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think maybe we killed Venerable Satyr once we had like two or three repost warriors, and then that was it.
Did you guys have any concern that a smaller guild or like Azrael was going to shoot for a target before you guys did?
No, it never came to our mind. They were struggling to levels. We had control of the leveling zones, so we always had Sibylis, and then they had to level up in like Draken and Steed and stuff like that.
Oh, that's terrible. So you
Yeah,
guys basically locked down Seb and Chardok, and that was kind of
yeah. Shardak, Seb, and Carners. We're always checking those three zones all the time, and as soon as a group was spotted, they were uh, kicked out, pretty much.
Would you guys bat phone PvP? Like if they had two groups in Chardok grinding in the middle of the night, would you bat phone it?
No, there was enough bad fun going on with just a PVE. Pretty
Okay.
much, uh, P99 does this thing with the simulated repops, and then at random times of the day, everything will respawn at once, and then at that point, you don't need. There's a lot of PvP, and it goes on for like 10 hours straight.
Right. So like your day is just like, okay, now I'm going to be on the computer all day because of the quake, right?
Yeah. So the quake happens, and then you had the bad fun going, and we had a very our bad fun was like pretty fast, and a lot of people will log in and get to it because obviously we try to avoid PvP, kill a couple targets, and then once they're ready for PvP or ready to like engage a mob somewhere, we were all over them.
Was training a big thing? Was that part of the meta to like delay them?
No, training was not. You'd get suspended for training, and everybody was like recording everything pretty much, so you'd get in trouble fairly quickly for training.
Well, that's I kind of remember that P99 was like all about petition quest and people being like, I tagged that mob first, especially on like blue and green.
It was the same for Red 99 too.
That kind of sucks.
Yeah, but the GM was very lax about it. Like, just let it go. It's just part of the game at that point.
Yeah, I mean, with the confusion of PvP on top of PvE, some trains are just going to happen unintentionally, right?
Oh yeah, happened all the time.
Now, did Azrael fold while you were still there?
Um, I believe they did, or yeah, I think so. I think they folded and joined Red Dawn or Empire or something.
Hmm. Okay,
Right.
and that was just because they, just getting beat up too much in open world.
Yeah, but there was sometimes every time that let's say we lose a PvP fight, the next day their guild was like double sized because of oh, we want to fight against Nihilum, like everybody
Right.
came back, and then then it was harder for us too. So it was always like ups and downs, and then in population because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. But in Kunark, they were never able to bridge that gear gap still, right?
No, not really.
Did they
They
ever have
kind
any
of,
success in Vishan's Peak?
I think they did once. Like I took like a 2 weeks break, and then my guild kind of folded when I wasn't there.
Geez, you were carrying the whole thing.
I kind of was, yeah. So if I wasn't there, like people would just like not even log in. So I took a 2 week break. I was just like done with the game, and then they took over for 2 weeks. They killed everything for 2 weeks.
So they got all their track teeth, got into VP and all that.
Yep, they took over for 2 weeks, and then I came back, and then we had some intense PvP fights where we were like outnumbered, and it was pretty hard for us. And but then within a week, I just took over again.
Okay, and now, how far into Kunark were you? Like, how many months into Kunark did you stop
Uh,
playing?
I stopped playing maybe a couple months before they released Velius, I think.
So okay, so you were there for just about all of it,
Yeah. Well, I didn't really stop playing. I got banned.
right?
Actually, I might be the only person that's like permanently banned from P99 right now.
Can you talk to us now about how that ban went down?
Sure. So RMT trading is not allowed on P99 for obvious
Right, and
reasons.
for the super casuals out there, RMT is real money trading, paying
Yeah.
real money to get items in plat.
So our guild had many guild banks full of stuff. We had everything. So this guy comes in, joins the guild, and is like, "Oh, can I get this for my warrior?" And then I'm like, "Sure, you can get your green dragon scale." And he's like, "How much is it?" I'm like, "I don't know, just give me $20. I don't care." Like, and then he gave me $20, and then the next day it's all over the forums. He posts the transactions, he posts everything, and he recorded all the things, all the conversations. And then I'm like, "Oh boy, I'm in trouble."
Yeah.
So and then yeah, so the next day, Deribel and Sirkan summons me somewhere, and they're like telling me, "Well, you're getting banned," and then every account you touch are getting banned. So I got like a bunch of people banned in my guild because I was like, we were sharing accounts. So
Account sharing is huge on P99, right?
oh yeah, and so all the accounts I logged in, they got like suspended. Some people obviously got their accounts back. Uh, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I got banned, and the guild folded, and then pretty much Red 99 kind of folded there too at that point.
Right. It became like a single guild server with like pretty much just like Empire and what maybe like dentists going around and that's it.
Yeah, I don't think Dentist was a thing back then at that point, but
Hmm.
Empire took over, and yeah,
And they just walked into Velius and got to kind of like zerg down whatever they wanted.
that's pretty much it. Yeah, there was
Now, was
another
the
guild.
guy
There was another guild led by Toon. Toon was a big part of Red 99. Was my actually one of the few officers I had. Um, was a bard. Everybody knows about Toon on Red 99.
Yeah, I recognize the name.
So he led a guild for a while, and he was training everybody.
Do you
So
remember what Toon's guild was called?
I couldn't tell you. I don't remember
Gotcha.
that.
So I know I was telling you this before we started, but like you guys had a guy named Showtime who became an officer in my guild on Lockjaw.
Yeah,
Before Agnar, he was my raid leader. He was known as Yawgmoth with us. And I remember when Velius came out on Red 99, he was like, "Hey, I'm going to be gone for like a week." And for a whole week, this guy was gone. And I think all he did was train Empire like 24/7 as much as he could until he got suspended or banned.
yeah, that sounds about right. There was a lot of people mad about about what happened on Red 99 after I got banned. Pretty much, yeah. I'm not sure if that's out in the open, but uh, all the accounts that got banned with my ban, they got stripped by a GM, and then the GM like sold everything for real money.
And that's Darabelle, right?
Durabell, yeah.
Yeah, I remember. So that's like, just so people know, that's like big drama that was posted with hardcore proof on the forums. Everybody knows about it. If you followed that scene, it's not like Nizzar's dropping like a crazy claim or anything. So Darabelle would like take banned accounts, log them in, strip all the items off, and then sell the items. So there was no evidence that he was like GM creating items, right? And no one would look at the items because they came from banned accounts.
Right.
And he was
It
making
was
like
pretty
thousands of
bad.
dollars.
Yeah, he made a ton of money. People sell upwards of like $50,000 to $60,000 with
That's
our
insane.
with our accounts. Yeah.
And then he got banned from the server too, right? Like they stripped his GM
Yeah, I
perms.
think they tried to do it silently or something. Didn't put out there that he was banned for like doing what he was doing, but we had real proof and that that was happening.
Now, all the people who bought the gear and stuff from him, did they get banned too?
I have no idea what happened to those people.
Gotcha. I know P99 has like some pretty strict rules on RMT, so I'm sure they got suspended, if not more. But yeah, I mean that's just totally crazy. It's wild that happened. Do you think the guy that got you? So basically, you got
I got
you
pretty much, yeah. I got fished. I don't know how to explain that. I got
you got set up.
trapped. I
Yeah,
got set up. Yeah.
yeah. So was that guy related to the competition? Was he related to Darabelle? Who had it out
Yeah.
for
So
you?
apparently, Derrybell was the guy's cousin. So it was
Damn.
all. His name was Sector the Rat, and then yeah, that was his cousin, and then set me up good with the RMT thing. That's really like people think I was like selling all kinds of shit on Red 99. I want to debunk that. I didn't sell nothing. I sold one thing to that sector guy. I had no need for money at that point in my life. So
Yeah, I remember people kind of acted like you were some RMT kingpin when that all
yeah,
came out.
exactly. I was like, no,
Yeah,
not at all.
even on Agnar, that reputation followed you. Like people brought
Oh
that
yeah,
up. So
yeah,
that's crazy. Big damage to the rep there. And it was all a setup from this guy.
yep. It was, yeah. Agnar, I know, it was pretty funny. Looks like everybody remembered about what I did on Red 99 there. So I don't know.
EQ is such a tight knit community. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. It's still all like even the new TLP. I started a character there on Oakwin, and then I see all the same fucking names. It's crazy.
Well, now is a big problem with they release new TLPs every single year. So people just re-roll like it's like seasons of Path of Exile or something, right?
Yeah, that's what it is really, and I think it's pretty entertaining. I don't know. I like the first few expansion. I don't like when it goes too far. Like pop kind of sucks, and then I don't like waiting in pop or well, the ones after that. Even Lukeland sucks for me. I don't know. I don't like it.
I just wish that there was more time between the server launches so that we could have like an organic kind of server, like a server that launched where the best guild wasn't known ahead of time,
Oh yeah. Uh, I don't know how they can do that actually.
Now
Because right,
with Discord and shit, it's just too easy to keep comms open. Remember back in the day, like you'd have to fucking have somebody's phone number or like they'd have to see a forum post that you had posted on. Like when your guild had been gone for a few years, you couldn't really get it back together without a lot of legwork.
yeah, it was almost impossible. That's
Now it's
why
just like one Discord ping.
yeah, I don't know what I think we had Roger Wilco or something back then. That's all we had.
Yeah.
In the forums, we could talk on forums, like send private messages and stuff like that. And yeah.
Now, how many of the guys from Red 99 were with you on Agnar? Was it a lot or just a little bit?
So when I got banned, a bunch of people just we kept in touch, and I told them we were playing. I think we started playing Arcade,
Hmm.
and then I had like maybe 10, 20 people join me on Arcade, and then after that, whichever game I started playing, I'd have like 20, 30 people from Red 99 follow me around.
Okay, so you just had the crew basically that was part of your team wherever you went.
Right. Even to this day,
Who
still the same thing.
who led the Agnar Guild after you stopped playing there?
Oh boy. So I left. Pretty much, I got ousted at that point. We had a fairly big guild bank with like 150 chronos or something on it, and then and the name of the guy was Stefan the Bard.
I remember him. He used to farm Quillmane all the time.
He sure did. He sold the loot rights or something, and then he took over, and within a week he stripped the guild bank, and then there you go. Yeah, I left right when Velius hit. I had to leave because that's when I met my wife in real life. So
Okay, so that real life took priority again.
yeah, I mean, it's the first time I touched EQ since then. It's what, 5 years now.
Yeah.
So,
Now, if you could go back to the start of Red 99, would you do anything different?
uh, probably not. I think, well, the way it happened organically was as good as it gets, really.
Yeah.
I mean, Holocaust was, making mistakes, being jerks to everybody, and then I just had to create a guild, and then everybody just were begging to join. So I had
Yeah.
nothing to do. Like, people were just coming over and over, just like groups of people all the time, just joining.
Yeah.
So I don't think I changed anything, because if I made a guild at the start, a big guild, then I think it would have been harder for us. We just had to let Holocaust do their things and then take over
Yeah, pretty
after.
much like alienate themselves, defeat themselves on the forum. Do
Yeah.
you think it would have been a lot different, a lot harder for you guys if Holocaust came in with their same crew, their same plan, but they just never logged into the forums one time? You know what I mean? So they were like under the radar and no one hated them.
Well, I mean, the forum was part of it, but they had groups of 6 people going everywhere, like griefing low levels all the time. So I think their action in game were as bad as their forum presence.
Okay.
So it was really easy for us at that point to just, hey, we're making a guild, we're going to fight the Holocaust, and they just, they just join us.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, like, that's just one of the downsides of being, I guess, too organized coming into a PvP server, right? Like, you're going to PvP people and you're going to be successful early on.
Right. And then people will remember that, especially on a server like Red 99, where it's like kind of tedious to get your corpse back and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just,
Leveling was really slow, really, really slow compared to TLP.
oh yeah, no, there's no, when you add PvP to the equation, you cannot even think about routes or thing you're gonna do, because things will change a lot. You're lucky if you're like get a group like in doing sisters on OOT uninterrupted, for a while, or out of the way, if that makes sense.
Right. Do you think it would have been better on the server if there was item loot, like loot one item, not basically the RZ item loot, nothing in bags, nothing in primary or secondary, but you could loot one item off the corpse otherwise?
I think that would have no. I think that's too hardcore for. It was too hardcore back then. I think it'd be even worse now. I don't
It
think
just
people.
caused people to quit.
Yeah, and people don't want that, and it
If
creates like people have like auto hotkeys, just bag everything real quick, and then
Yeah, if
at
they
that
did
point,
a Red 99 version 2, would you go on that, assuming you weren't banned? Like if they would let you roll on it?
I probably will. I mean, AQ PvP is it's there's nothing like it really. So it's uh, it's something I always enjoyed, and I'm pretty sure I'll enjoy it until I die. So if there's more servers, and I hope they do make a new server. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody wants a new server for P99. Because they have good cheat detection. There's no show EQ, there's no macro quest there, so they got that going for them.
Yeah,
Uh,
they're pretty good about eliminating boxing, as good as you really can be, right?
they're. I mean, back then, even at the start of it, they were pretty good on it. I'm I'm guessing right now they're, you know, they got it under control.
Yeah, I mean, like I've encountered some boxers on P99 the few times I played, and when I reported it, GMs always came and investigated. And sometimes you see people get suspended right there. There's only so much you could do. Like someone can log in a box to buff themselves, and what are you gonna do? How are you really gonna know? What are you gonna do about it? But you definitely don't see like real boxing very much.
Oh no. And yeah, they got a lot of good things going on P99. Um, I don't think like if they release if Daybreak release a PvP server, I think that'd be a shit show.
There'd be so much macro quest. There, you know what I mean? It would just be a waste of fucking time. I think it'd be fun, but like you
Yeah,
couldn't take it seriously because people would be warping all over. The classes are so imbalanced. It would be a real shit show.
yeah. I think also the. I mean, I'm not sure if we can bring this up here, but I think they brought up. They let MicroQuest now on, and it's the like the light version of MicroQuest is like allowed pretty much on the TLP server. So you know, it's
Yeah, there was a deal that was kind of made with Holly Longdale, the old producer of Everquest. She she works for Blizzard now. She's the producer or like the lead for WoW Classic.
yeah,
Funny
yeah,
enough, but back then EQ Mule made a deal with her about like, hey, just don't let MQ be on the true box TLP servers, so like the newer ones,
yeah.
and then we won't prosecute it on the rest of the servers. And then he eventually got ousted, and now like it's MacroQuest next, and it's totally open source, and it's pretty much back to the Wild West.
Yeah, I mean, there's some modules that's not available, but you know they have everything they need to like box and shit. So it's gonna it's not that great. I think that's a plague on all the TLP servers, like all the botting and everything.
It is. It's really bad. And the unfortunate thing is like the longer that they don't punish it, and let me be clear, punishing it twice a year is not enough. It's not real, right? No one cares about that. But the longer that they let it become a thing that people use, the more people use it. The more people who would never break a rule decide like, well, everyone else is doing it. To be on an even playing field, I feel like I have to do it, right? And it gets worse and worse and worse. And then the company is probably looking at it and they're like, well, 90% of the user base is using some kind of software that we would potentially suspend them for now. So if we took action, well, we would. Who wants to deliver that quarterly report to their bosses, right?
Yeah, who wants to ban like because I think it's pretty bad on Oakwin. I was just looking at the numbers there, and the Chronos prices are through the roof, and that's a direct correlation with the amount of botters you got there.
Yeah,
And
it was totally crazy. They just did a huge suspension wave on Oakwind.
yeah, something about ShoEQ though. It's not really MacroQuest.
I don't think I believe it. That's just people who don't want you to know they macro quest. Like people who are innocent don't get suspended. That's my policy. Like people always try to claim it. They're just lying. You don't get suspended when you're innocent unless it's like some petition quest thing over a camp. Like you can petition someone for like nonsense and get them suspended. But if you get hit as part of a wave, you were fucking cheating. Like that's
Oh
just how
yeah,
it works.
yeah. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, I wish it will clear up, but I mean, when you think about it, they got like 400, 500 botters on the server, and that's a lot of revenue for them. So they
Right? Yeah. I mean, they're getting fucking paid a lot, right? Just from that.
yeah.
So speaking of that, can we talk about one of your boys from Agnar,
Who are you gonna talk about?
Mister Swampano Hope? I can't even remember what his name was.
Oh boy, what did
You
he do?
remember it was Eldoran?
Eldoran? Oh yeah, what
Yeah.
about Eldoran?
So he he was big in the macro quest scene on Agnar. I remember like, people started making those videos where they would put like fish scales on the ground and his characters would just warp over there, feign death to wherever they were.
Oh shit, I remember that. No,
Yeah.
that was some funny shit.
Do you
Um,
remember what happened with him? Because his accounts got banned and then they got
yeah,
unbanned.
he got everything got banned. I don't think he plays anymore. Maybe he does. Yeah, I haven't talked with him much. So
I don't want to blow up his spot. He's basically in the EQ mafia. He'll have me assassinate it, but
yeah, at that point, we better not talk about him.
right, guys, he's a big deal. Um, All right. So this has been pretty good. The last question, the $1 million question, okay?
Sure.
Red 99 2.0 comes out, let's just say next year. You gonna do a guild with Zaide? We gonna go together?
Sure. Let's do it.
Hell
Let's
yeah,
do
put it
it.
down. It's in the
All right.
notes.
It's in the notes. Let's do it.
All right. Hey, Niz, it has been awesome having you on here for this. Thank you so much. I didn't, I missed a lot of Red 99. There's so much I didn't know. I'm glad you're able to get on here and
Yeah.
give me some education on it. This was really great.
Well, thank you for having me. That was a lot of fun.
Nizzarr, is there any place that people can find you if they want to hit you up? Do you have like YouTube or Twitch or anything that you make content on?
Not really anymore. I mean, I've got two kids now. I have a 4 months old. I have a 2 year old. So I'm pretty busy. I don't have time for a Twitch or. I used to have a Twitch, but I mean, I'm a partner, but I haven't streamed in 10 years. So
Gotcha. Dang, you're like an old head on Twitch.
pretty much. Yeah, no, I don't have any socials or anything. Yeah, that's pretty
Okay.
much it.
Are there any old friends from Red 99 or even back in the day that you want to give a shout out to before we wrap up?
Oh yeah, sure. Shout out to Tune, the No Life Bard. You're you're dear in my heart. And besides that, not really many people. I say maybe a shout out to Alderan too, being
All
a
right.
good boy.
There we go. Okay. Hey, thanks, Niz. And with that, DramaQuest is out.
All right.